This is Movie Reviews for Life, and I'm somewhat back. Alright, this is a video going out to Rowdy Roughman, one of 2 to 3 videos I'm going to do today, most likely 3. He requested me to do the original Return of the Living Dead trilogy, not the 4th and 5th one, because even if he asked me to do that, I have not seen the films, so I cannot elaborate on them. All I can say is they look like they suck. For one, they were originally shown on Sci-Fi before going to DVD, so that tells you how much they suck. Alright, basically what happens is John Russo and George Romero made Night of the Living Dead. They wrote it. Some legal stuff happened because they didn't properly copyright it, and when they parted ways, Romero got the right to make sequels to Night of the Living Dead, while Russo was able to use the name Living Dead as so he can make his films. And what he did was he started out with this franchise. This is actually the only one I believe he actually had a part in doing anything with. The sequels were not him. He didn't go back onto the Living Dead thing until the 30th anniversary re-edit of the original film, and then he made Children of the Living Dead or some crap like that, which from what I understand sucked beyond repair. But anyway, let me get back to this review. Okay, basically what happens is Thom Mathews and Gulager and James Cameron. Well, mainly it's Thom Mathews and James Cameron. Thom Mathews is, people might know him from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, as the grown-up Tommy Jarvis. And what happens is Freddy, his name is Freddy in the movie, he gets a new job at this army supply warehouse where he's kind of tutored, or whatever you want to call it, by James Cameron, who plays Frank. He's like basically the main boss, he's the boss of the factory, whereas Gulager's character, Burt Wilson, is actually the owner of the building. What happens is, they start fooling around with stuff in the factory because, Frank wants to show off to Freddy all the cool stuff that's going on. And he tells him about how Night of the Living Dead was actually based on a true story. And he doesn't believe him at first. And so he goes down to show him in the basement that there was proof that they actually had some of those reanimated corpses, and they brought him down there, and they've been lost since. They haven't tried to tell the military or nothing. They just keep them there. They start messing around with the tank, and the tank spurts open, and blah blah blah. All the things in the building become all the dead things start to kind of flutter with life, show reanimation or whatever. And they eventually go to they call Burt. Burt discovers what happens. They aren't able to kill the character, the living zombie that's there, like they did in the films. So they go to Ernie, which is an old friend of Burt's, played by Don Calfa, and he goes in there, and they use his his crematorium to get rid of all the evidence, because that seems to be the only way to get rid of the bodies. Unfortunately, that resonates into creating an acid rainstorm that starts to sweep all over a nearby cemetery, and that starts to reanimate those bodies. Meanwhile, we got a bunch of Freddy's friends. We get Beverly Randolph, played by Tina, played by Beverly Randolph. Shepard, Casey, played by Shepard. You got Chuck, played by John Philbin. Scuz, played by Brian Peck. Trash, played by Linnea Quigley. Suicide, played by Mark Venturini. And another Friday the 13th alumni. He was actually in Friday the 13th 5. Miguel A. Núñez Jr., who plays Spider in the film. Basically, they're all at that nearby cemetery waiting for Freddy to get off because his girlfriend Tina wants to meet up with him. And so they're hanging out, and they happen to, be there when all this crap starts to happen. And of course, they're basically bodies there to basically get picked off. Some of them actually do make it to the warehouse, and then they have to find some way to get out of it, and they all have to kind of work together. I'm not going to get too deep into detail about the film, because if you haven't seen the film, you need to go see it. There's no reason for me to sit here and tell you every little thing about it, because then what's the point in seeing the film? It does have kick-ass music. It's got music by 45 Grave, SSQ, Roky, Erickson, which is some of the melody that you heard in the beginning is the intro music to the song "Burn the Flame" by Eric Rokinson, I believe his name is. It's a really, really good song. It plays in a real sad part of the film. The characters, what's amazing about this film is that it is made to be somewhat of a parody of the Night of the Living Dead film. This year also happened to be the year that Dawn of the Dead came out, which was kind of funny, to have a parody and the original sequel come out at the same time. But what's shocking about this film is, in my opinion, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, it's better than Night of the Living Dead. I'm not saying it's better than Dawn of the Dead, because they're different. They have comedy in both of them, and they have horror in both of them, and it works on different levels. So I'm not even going to... It's probably just as good as Dawn of the Dead, in my opinion. And it's even got more realistic makeup. I mean, I love Thom Savini to death, but this does somewhat have more realistic makeup. The characters are well developed. Even the small-time characters, you kind of get to know them in a way, and I really enjoy that. Like, you don't have horror movies like that anymore, because a lot of the times, even the people working in the film basically sit back and say, well, they just want to see people get killed, so why even bother, getting to know these people? Let's just add more people to kill. And that's a big problem here, really big problem. The characters, like I said, are well more developed. In the original Night of the Living Dead, all you see is a bunch of dissension in the ranks, because nobody trusts each other, everybody hates each other. They can't get past the racial slur, they can't get past the racial stereotypes and this and that, and it winds up screwing them in the end. In this one, they don't get along. They hate each other, they don't trust each other, but they have a common goal, which is survival. And that's enough for them to work together. And that's what I like about the film. Even when they're separated, they're still working together. So it's definitely a good film to go see. I would probably give it about 4 out of 5. Like I said, it's kick-ass music to the soundtrack. I don't like punk music either, but there's something about this music that just really kind of gets to you. You can kind of really get into it, and it just goes so well with the film. You do have Linnea Quigley in it. She's been in Nightmare on Elm Street 4. She was in Silent Night, Deadly Night. She's basically known somewhat in the B-movie genre, and she plays pretty good in this film too. That's really all I have to say about the film. I mean, I love the film to death. It's not a film I can ever get tired of. What I will say though is that the special features on the DVD, which I have, there's a commentary by the cast crew and the undead, which I'm guessing means the people, some of the characters that might have died, or I haven't actually listened to this commentary yet. I've listened to the commentary by Dan O'Bannon, which is the director, and production designer William Stout. Then there's a featurette called the Decade of the Darkness featurette, Return of the Living Dead, The Dead Have Risen featurette. There's zombie subtitles for the film, which I haven't actually tried yet. And then there's a Designing the Dead featurette. There's actually not much, considering how cult status this film is, but in my opinion, it's better than nothing. I mean, they took the time to say, hey, people like this film, let's give them some special features. So I do enjoy that. The commentary I did listen to is pretty good. I do have to kind of listen to it again to refresh my memory on, what they say or whatever. I started listening to the other one too. But that's really all I can say. So if you want, stay tuned. I will get Return of the Living Dead Part 2 up soon. Go see the film. Go see the first 3 Living Dead films by Romero. Go see the remake by Romero and Savini. And go see these first 3 originals. Don't see 4 and 5 of the Return of the Living Dead saga. And don't see From Land of the Dead until this new Survival of the Dead. They all crap. Romero and Romero and the people behind the Return of the Living Dead franchise have lost their touch after Part 3. Surprisingly, in the comic book world, Part 3 sucks, but in the horror film world, Part 3 is a winner. So stick with that and stop. Alright, well, catch you later.
Come in dispatch. 10 more paramedics.